Hello, and welcome back to the Check and Chat podcast. We've checked into the pit stop, and now we're chatting all things Amazing Race. I'm your host, Matt, and today it's season 37, episode 5. We're hanging 10 in Indonesia, and have we got a lot to get through. We've had a live double U-turn vote, which has definitely caused a lot of feelings, and two teams were U-turned and fighting to stay safe from elimination. Later on in the podcast, I'll let you know who I would have chosen in the live double U-turn vote. And I'll tell you this now, it will surprise you. It'll give you the goops and the gags, the audacity and the gumption. Okay, so stay tuned for I'll Do It My Way later on. And then I'll be eulogizing the eliminated team, Scott and Laurie. Which, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the episode, why haven't you? Honestly. But I will be eulogizing them later on. I have no idea what I'm going to say at the moment. I'm going to record it last. So, it's a hard one this week. But I will be eulogizing them later on in the show. As well as going down into the depths of the boiler room, where I'll be going through the spoilers of the week in the filming of Australia's Expedition Season 9 and Season 38. Australia, we got a few little tidbits this week, not much, but we do have a few little things. And we'll also have two big things happened in Season 38 this week. So if you want full-on spoilers, including team eliminations, okay, join me later on in the depths of the boiler room. Don't worry, I will give you time to go if you need to, okay? So, we have so much to talk about. I'm going to chat forever today, so let's get straight into the episode. So before we start this episode, I do have a little bit of an Amazing Race sort of headline from this week. So Val Kilmer passed away this week, and we found out that apparently he really wanted to do Amazing Race with Will Forte, and apparently the agents were called and people were dialing, but Will ended up saying no, and apparently Will's now saying that it's one of his greatest regrets they didn't end up doing it. Which I would have been very fascinated to see, like Val Kilmer do Amazing Race. That would have been iconic. Like, I would have loved to see him do the coconut challenge in this episode. Let me tell you. But let's get straight into the episode, and we see the teams. It was a homestay this week for the pit stop. They got to stay in the villagers' homes, as there was lovely koi ponds. Hannah and Holden were on the veranda. But the mosquitoes were very real. Let me tell you, I would have been cooped up. We then see Jonathan and Anna their first leave at 4:58, and they're told to head to the second monkey head sanctuary. We then get a little segment from them, a little backstory, and they're talking about losing their baby the summer before that wasn't growing correctly in the uterus, and they're still going through grief with that. And let me tell you, I know I really relate here, especially because my situation, which I think you all know by now, I'm still going through this right now. So I really relate them. We then have Jack and Carson, they're second to leave at 5:40 a.m. So about 42 minutes behind Jonathan and Anna. And the boys were good this week. I don't have a segment for you, Jack and Carson segment for you this week. I might do next week. We'll have to wait and see. But I do have one or two notes, and I said that last week and I went on for 5 minutes. But I do have a few points here. And Carson and Janevika was wearing this medieval garment, and he says it was he was feeling like it was given jester, and Jack was given a read saying it was given commoner. And I agree, it was given commoner the house down boots. Also, last week I did forget to say, I forgot to give them props, but they went from 9th to 2nd. So big well done to that. I forgot to mention that last week. And then Apparently, somebody had a little accident on the way to the pit stop, but it was hidden because everyone had to wear that sarong. I forgot to mention about the sarongs last week and how everyone had to wear a sarong, which I would have thought they would have done before the detour, but no, they did at the end, which was pretty weird because they went straight to the pit stop then. But that was interesting. I wonder who it was. I have a feeling, I have a hunch who it was, but that's another time. We know it's not Jonathan because Jonathan went. We know that, and also for the boys, as we know, if you saw the promo, the fast forward's coming next week, and so that will determine if they go for the fast forward and get it. That will determine whether or not I will give the accent review. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. I just wanted that as a reminder. See, I didn't go on the pattern this week. Just about 2 minutes. Anyway, Scott and Laurie then next to leave at 5:41 a.m. We see Jack in a taxi telling us that they're excited about going to the monkey sanctuary and saying that they're going to have to keep all the snacks in the bag. And Carson's saying that he's the snack. I know they're like being funny, but I was like, girl, you'd need two of you to be a whole snack. Like you'd be like a packet, like a small packet of chips, you know. But what is everyone's favorite snack? You know, what is your favorite snack? And gays, keep it PG, okay? Leave it in the comments or send me an email. Gays, keep it PG, gays, okay? I know what we're like, okay? But let me know what your favorite snack is. Um, and the boys are predicting that a U-turn vote might happen. Spooky, isn't it? We then get Scott and Laurie. That we get a little VT of them, and they're talking weight loss and how in the last 9 months, Laurie lost 70 pounds, and Scott lost 100 pounds. And I am so fascinated by this because I'm a big like I love The Biggest Loser, so I love these weight loss transformations shows and evidence like. And so we saw the before and after, you know, on The Biggest Loser, we love the before and the after picture. So and like, come on, they look great. And you know how much I've fond of Lauren Scott. You know how young I think Laurie looks. Okay, and that hasn't changed. They then talk about how they wouldn't think the teams at the back of the pack would do anything to hurt them. Ooh, it will the tide turn then later on. We then get Jonathan and Anna. We see them arriving at the Monkey Sanctuary at 5:53. Jonathan tells us on his watch. So it's taken about 55 minutes to get there. It's interesting. I just wanted to know that. We see Melinda and Erica leave at 5:57, and they just are fine, like being in the middle and sort of not worrying about being on top as long as they win the last leg. We get Alyssa and Josiah. They leave at 6 a.m. and they said about that. And Josiah is very excited that he makes some monkey jokes that they're going to be monkeying around. And actually, from them, I didn't know that you shouldn't look at monkeys in the eyes. I didn't know that. So they've taught me something this week. We then get a shorter intro this week, and all I have in my notes is boo. That's all production. We then got Han and Holden at 6:01, and they say they're trying to figure out how to become a threat, which I take as just to get up to the top of the pack. We then see Brett and Mark leave 2 minutes after, and they want to keep floating in the middle to see where it takes them. We have Nick and Mike coming after that. And so I learned this over the week, and we did get to see this backstory this week. Nick got a piece of rice stuck in his eye from the roadblock and like really stuck, and that's caused a bit of swelling. So that's why we had the glasses from Nick this week. And right after them, Pops and Jeff, they say that they're built for chaos and they want chaos of the front teams, which I love that they're here for chaos. They're here for the drama. Oh, remember they're out for revenge. So Scott and Laurie, they've arrived at the sanctuary and they confront Jonathan and Anna over the £25. Scott and Laurie, of course, explain how, they weren't happy and felt it was a personal attack. And they felt like because they had this sort of like top three thing together that they wouldn't have done it. And Jonathan and Anna explained, they're so we talked about that last week. And like Scott and Laurie said, they're over it, but I don't think they're over it. Now, something that was unaired and apparently this was really funny, and I heard Josiah was talking about it a few days ago. Han led a monkey yoga class while they were waiting for it to open. And then she told Josiah, like at the airport, I think it was the next leg, that she'd never done it before, so she had no clue what she's doing. Like she'd never done it, which was crazy. Like she doesn't know yoga, but like Josiah really thought that she did it. Very convincing. So they walk through, they meet Phil at the voting circle, and this U-turn vote, this live U-turn vote, I need to say live, because even on the cards it says live. They got picture voting cards, which is a step up, well done, which is improvement from the last time, and they go separately to lock in their votes, and Mark is just living for the drama that is to come. We get a few little here, like confessionals here, how they think thinking about what they're going to do voting wise. Jonathan and Anna want Mel team gone as their bigger threats and consider voting Jack and Carson as they think they're the best team here. A more accurate fact has never been more told. Very, very accurate. Erica talks about how she doesn't want to vote for Jonathan and Anna because they gave him £15 at the driver's seat. And we see a few teas, but it's very ambiguous. But it's time for the voting reveal, and I felt it felt very big loser. It felt like in the elimination room, whether it's like Caroline Ray, remember when Caroline Ray hosted the biggest loser? I love Caroline Ray, hilarious. Whether it's Caroline Ray, Ali Sweeney, or the Bob Harbour, Sly at the elimination table, and they would like one by one we will go down the table and you'll reveal your votes. The two teams with the most votes will be U-turned today. And so I thought it was like very elimination room. Because that's one of my favourite parts of the Big Sis. I love the elimination room. And I hate it in the later seasons when they got rid of the elimination room and did just like red line eliminations. What was with that? I felt offended. The elimination room is the best part. Anyway, I digress. So Brett and Mark are the first to vote, and they vote for Scott and Laurie, and Laurie is shooketh. Let me tell you, we get more back to come. Jonathan and Anna next. They vote for Nick and Mike, citing that they don't know them as well and could be a big competitor at the end. I was surprised they made a shift here from Carson and Jack, but I'm going to talk for each of the votes in a minute. Pops and Jeff voted for Jonathan and Anna as revenge for the £25 in the last leg. Hun, Holden, and Linda and Erica vote for the Scott and Laurie. And Laurie complains that they didn't think they were a threat because it was so slow. And Mark mutters under his breath like lies. It's like lies. I'm sorry, I have to agree with Mark here. And come on, you've been top 3 in the last 3 legs. Like, it's clear you're doing well if you're able to keep up with the top teams. When all the other teams had opportunity to pass you, especially like at the last roadblock with the rice, but you power through. So I'm just saying here, Mark does have a point. Carson and Jack, they're next to vote. They vote for Jonathan Anna. Anna is a bit taken aback by this. She didn't been that the boards would vote for them. Nick and Mike said they knew Jonathan and Anna would get votes, so they voted for Scott and Laurie instead. And Laurie says some of these teams are not their friends anymore. She feels very betrayed, I feel, and you can tell that Laurie is very much in her feelings. She's very in the moment and she's hurt because she felt like some of these teams were like, we know that she was like pure friendships and felt that they wouldn't but sort of betray like that. And so I thought that sort of and she's very open about this. We know Laurie speaks her mind though, and loves to openly talk about their thought process, and so she is valid in these feelings, and like those are perfect. Like it's perfectly okay to feel this way. Um, Mark then like expresses openly to them that they can't say that they're weak when they keep coming top three, and that is coming off as a social strategy move. And then like Scott comes in, to sort of to defend this. And so what I'm going to get to now is Mark and Bet had their weekly live stream on Friday, and so if for me it was like 1 a.m. and I had a long day at work. I even had a nap as soon as I came home. But I was like 1 a.m. But I'm like, okay, it's Mark and Bet. It's the A's, I'll stay up and watch the live stream. And girl, was it worth the wait? So during the live stream, Mark mentioned that he was upset, but Laurie and Scott had been saying some things in their exit press. I hadn't. I have a busy work schedule, so I hadn't seen the exit interviews this week. I did see a little bit with Lauren and Scott talking to Notainment. And a quick sidebar here: if you don't follow Notainment, please do. They are absolutely brilliant. Sarah and David, they are hilarious. I've been following them, watching their content for the last 5 years, and it's just lovely, wholesome, funny content. And they do Exit Press as well for Amazing Race, and they cover a lot of other shows. So I just want to shout because I love them. And you should really check them out. Okay, so back to this Instagram Lab. So Laurie and Scott apparently was saying, oh, Mark was saying, oh, they're fake. You're being fake, and Mark was saying just during the live stream, oh, I didn't say that, and so Mark had mentioned that they'd talked many times since filming, publicly and privately, about it, and like felt that they like buried the hatchet and like squashed all this, and felt like it was very hurt when all this was brought back up again, and like these sort of like lies have been told, and he felt very upset about this, and he made his point about it and said, this is my point of view. That's what I have to say. That's what I have to say, because of course I hadn't watched it. I felt this was ooh girl about drama, because it felt like that everyone was getting along, and then everything like this surfaced up. So I just wanted to mention that. We then get Bill. He points out so what was happening. Josiah's it has the raised eyebrow, and Phil notices it because it takes an eyebrow to know an eyebrow, doesn't it? So he's like, "Listen, Josiah, you got the eyebrow. You vote next." And both them and Laurie and Scott vote for Jonathan and Anna. So, of course, we know 4 votes Jonathan and Anna, 4 votes Scott and Laurie. They are U-turned. Nick and Mike got the sole vote. Now, last week I did correctly predict it, and I knew there'd be a stray vote somewhere. And I didn't quite think it was going to come from Jonathan and Anna. But let's go with these now. Pops and Jeff, Melinda and Erica, Jack and Carson, Scott and Laurie. I'm not surprised by their votes. Mark and Bert also in the live stream said, if the conversation about Laurie and Scott hadn't been mentioned at the previous mat, then it wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have voted for them. They more would have voted for Carson and Jack. And I know. I think it was Josiah. Josiah was saying he was on that mat. He was like, when like the top conversation like targets came up, he was like pushing for Jack and Carson, but because there was a lot of feelings, especially following the roadblock that come up over about Scott and Laurie, it's sort of like his opinion was just then drowned out, and it just became purely Scott and Laurie. I didn't think honestly that Mark and Bert would have voted for Scott and Laurie. Jonathan and Anna, I felt like the Nick and Mike vote was a bit random. I felt that they could have voted for Jack and Carson, but I felt they were then starting to feel like think long term. Actually, we know that Jack and Carson they're going to stay around for a while. So us, we still want a male team gone. We know that if another U-turn happens again, or if it happens, we can sort of want to use the option to keep them on our side. And so going for someone like Nick and Mike, even though I feel like Nick and Mike have been making a lot more mistakes, they have been more at the back. So I was interested in about Han and Holden voted for Scott and I, and I think that was an influence on the mat in the last leg because we didn't really get any reasoning from it. I'm not sure they would have otherwise voted for them. And so with Nick and Mike here, I didn't think they would have voted for Scott and Laurie. I thought they might have voted for Jonathan and Anna. And then Alyssa and Josiah, because Alyssa was very talking about Scott and Laurie last week on the mat that I thought they would have voted for Scott and Laurie. So that's sort of my opinions on how I felt the voting sort of went. And we have Anna. Well, she says that they're screwed, and Phil all gives them the next clue, and the teams have to get a taxi to the Pantai Pandawa to get the next clue with the double U-turn ahead. And Carson and Jack are shocked they didn't get any votes. I think that just shows them how good they are. One, how good they are, and also the impact of other teams. Because as like Josiah said, like he would have like easy trying to get people to vote for them. But the fact from what Laurie and Scott was happening with Laurie and Scott, it just wasn't going to happen. The traction wasn't there. And later on, you're going to find out who I voted for. And I'll do it my way. Anna, she's worried about going home, and Jonathan just tells her to stop whining and crying. While Scott and Lloyd, they're still trying to keep optimistic, and Scott even says, they might even get first place. So, I think the opposite's going to happen, but we know. And so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into tasks of this episode, and we're going to talk detour, we're going to talk surfing, and so much more right after this. This is not a drill. The Amazing Race, Season 38 and Australia Celebrity Edition Season 9 are currently filming, and I have exclusive spoilers. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast if you want to hear everything about locations, the teams, and even latest elimination spoilers. Join me as I head down into the boiler room. You don't want to miss it. That's later on in this podcast. For the first time this season, Han and Holden are in first place, the first of detour, and the choice coconuts or cobble. In coconuts, teams have to load a bike with 60 coconuts and deliver them down the beach to the Ravung van Ronden Cafe and stack them up in a pyramid before receiving the next clue. And in coral, teams have to attach 5 species of coral to a reef star and snorkel with the star out into the ocean and to deposit it for the coral reef restoration behind the orange buoys to receive the next clue. And Han and Holden, they choose coconuts as they know what they're signing up for. It's grunt work and they can get the job done. While Mark and Bet, they choose coral because Bet loves to be environmentally friendly and give back to the world. I do that with recycling. I'm a big recycler. So me and Bet were connected there. With Nick and Mike, they're obviously choosing more physical tasks, coconuts. And then Carson and Jack, we get them in comparison like, we choose coral because we want to swim. It's a hot day, and who wouldn't want to just swim in this beautiful ocean on a lovely hot day? And come on, like that is a good reason. Like that was a good opportunity there. We then get Alyssa and Josiah, they're big coconuts. Alyssa says that they would most likely choose more physical tasks over the detail-oriented tasks. And Erica says she doesn't want to go in the water, so if they choose coconuts, girl, wait until later. Wait until that roadblock, let me tell you. Jonathan and Anna, they choose coconuts first. they say. But as they're walking past the sign, the Cobble's like just there, so they decide to and they end up first in Cobble. Well, they're gonna do both anyway. But before they get in, Mark and Brett and Carson Jack, they're at Cobble. And so I saw comments after the episode, and it was like, so the gays are the only one in like the shaded area of like, and everyone else is like working hard in the hot sun on the beach. It's like that the gays are in the VIP, and like they're just chilling in in the shaded area in the VIP. Obviously, Candy Muse was not there that day. You know, she was not here on this occasion in the VIP. Let me tell you. Scott and Laurie they end up getting to the detour last. I think they got a bad taxi, and Scott and Laurie they go to Coconuts first to get the more physical part out the way. And we see this lot, and they spend a lot of time over the episode, but teens are struggling to maintain their coconuts. You can put them in your mouth. Um, there's a lot of falling, like balance got on the bike. There's a lot of struggle with the coconuts. We then get Anna and Jonathan. They keep on going for check after check, and like we see in confessional, Carson Jack, like what are they doing? And another thing from the Malcolm But live stream, they were saying, you know, they were having this high risk, high reward strategy that they were going for, but it wasn't planning out. And so after their third attempt, getting a fail here, they go look carefully, more carefully at the example. We then get Erica. She's saying her mom is very frantic sometimes in situations, but because they know that Scott and Laurie and Jonathan are on a U-turn, that they can relax a bit. I don't think I've ever seen Melinda frantic because Erica just does everything. Like she makes all the decisions. Like I don't think like she gives Melinda a chance to speak or get a chance to even get an opinion. Sometimes, like Erica just does it. We then go back to Cole and the gays. They pass on their first attempt. Come on, serve. And they like practically sit down, come to the water, and they are told to um go to Noosa do a beach to get the next clue. Now Mark and Brett coming out of the water. Come on, they look like supermodels. I can't. I could not. Like I expected more of like a James Bond sort of walked out the water moment. Like that moment, I can't. Like I can't. Like it, it was. Anyway, Carson Jack. As they're running out, they give Scott and Laurie some advice about the coral and like to look at the detail of the colors, and they're giving them encouragement. We then see Jonathan and Anna. They finally pass after 6 attempts. Alyssa and Jazar get a pass from the iconic counting lady. Oh god, we've been talking about her this week. It's so funny because like she just like points 4 or 5 times and then says it's good. She just like points and says it's good. Oh, the counting lady, she's iconic. We then get Jonathan and Anna, they're about to go into the water to put down their star. And Anna opens up about nearly drowning as a child, and so she's fed by going to the open ocean. Girl, I I feel you. Like I don't like I swim. Like I swim the pools, but like I don't like going underwater because I do feel like I'm drowning. Like if I go underwater, I have to hold my nose because like if water goes up my nose, I think I'm gonna be drowning and I have a full on panic attack. So I was with you there, girl. We've been together in this episode, and so they're getting there, and I saw this in the sneak peek this week. The waves like instantly wiped them out, and those waves, they were choppy. It was rough out there, and so Anna was worried about going to it, but then and then they go to commercial, and then we come back from the commercial, and they give her like a life vest, and she goes back in, and they do it, and like I like how they go to the judge, and it's like, yay, well done, but he cut like has they haven't given they've like taken the clue away from him, so we can't give him the clues. It's just the judges stand there awkwardly as they then have to go to coconuts, and so as Jonathan and I make the way to coconuts, they pass Melinda and Eric on the way, and they give advice about what to do. And so I feel like the lines have definitely been drawn here. Like those who voted for Scott and Laurie are really wanting to help Jonathan and Anna, and those who voted the other way wanting to help Scott and Laurie. I feel like the lines were definitely drawn there. We then get Jonathan. He's just getting frustrated at Anna straight away and haven't been inside. Like he's like asking Anna to hold the bike while he balances the coconuts, and he keeps on telling her to hold the bike, and then she gets frustrated when the coconuts fall, and then he blames her when she was holding the bike. Like that's what she was doing. She was holding it like he told her to do. We know that the heat's like it was a stressful situation. He knows there's a good chance they were going to go home. We know Jonathan the Heat, and we saw this episode. But you know, he needs to. I will say he does need to think about sometimes how he talks in certain situations. It doesn't need to be because I know this week as well. He's like, especially I think he's talked on Reddit a little bit this week, like having to justify a situation, and like he doesn't need to do that. Okay, he's not overly that bad. He just like does some things that I think like in a pressurizes like very stressful situation, he needs to work on a little bit. But like, don't we all? I think like we all need to do it like that. The MVP. Now we say the iconic counting is there, but for me, when I was watching it, I felt the icon was the sleeping dog at the coal task. We see them go to the dog a lot. It was iconic and so cute. We then get Nick and Mike. They're struggling stacking their coconuts. Their coconuts won't stack at all. We then see the gays. They are about the roadblock, and it's who wants to meet in the match. And so whoever chooses to the roadblock must choose a surfboard, paddle out into the surf, past the yellow between the yellow boys, and find a surfer who has a board with the identical decal on to the one on their surfboard. And then they need to bring their match back and compare with the lifeguard to get the next clue. And Josiah, Brett, Jack, Han, Jonathan, Erica, Mike, Pops, and Scott are all doing this roadblock. And so once Phil gives his explanation, we then see Jack open up and he reads what he has to do for the task, which we never see them do. So for me already, that's foreshadowing to me that something with Jack is going to go a little bit wrong. And so I start to panic. I'm like, girl, you do not do this to my cousin Jack. I'm like, no, ma'am. Please don't let me be severe. But Mark and Brett arrive, and we see like Horace and Mark. They're just lounging around. They're in the lounges and under the parasol. They're having a good old like chinwag. I think Mark said it was like for about like 15 minutes or so, and it was like the gays just lounging like hanging out on the gay beach. I'm like, this is not like any gay beach I know, and the gays we know. If you know, you know. Anyway. Scott and Laurie, they get a fail at Cole, but they're still optimistic. However, the stress starts to pile up and they're still struggling with the detail after 7 attempts. And they're struggling to figure out what's wrong. Back to the roadblock, and we see that Brett has found his match first. It is sort of a needle in a haystack challenge here, but Brett quickly finds his match, and they're told to make their way by foot to the pit stop down the peninsula of the beach to Taxi Art Stage. The last scene check-in will be eliminated. Jack then finally remembers that he has to look at the decal, and he runs his match as well, and he's not that far behind Mark and Brett either. And so Alyssa and Josiah this morning have also turned up, and so we learned that Josiah, when he was in Guadalajara, his dad would just throw him into the ocean so he could swim. And, that's not even safe, But he learned a lot of lessons from that. But also, Josiah was a guest in the previously mentioned live stream. And he talked about how when he met his match, it was this guy who was like chilling on his surfboard, He was just living life, be like on his surfboard, having a cigarette, and like when he seen, just I was like, "Oh, you're my match, with me." He was like, "No," like, but like, just I was like, his expression was like, "Really? Of all the people you have to match with, it's me. You have to get me out of my relaxer. I have to paddle back," which was funny. Which, by the way, um, I think Josiah's nickname now is the Mouth because he talks a lot. That is very definitely true. Josiah does love to talk. We know that. We then see Better Market Chicken to the pit stop first, and they win $10,000, which they're shaken by. I don't think they thought they'd win that much. $5,000 each, which was as in this live stream, they said was very much needed because their pet, I think it was a dog, became unwell, and they used the money to help pay the bills and the medical bills, which was very much needed. So they were very grateful for that. We then see Jan Cross and they come second, and they say they're trying to keep a low profile. Girl, you have the best average so far, and up. As a reminder, when I'm talking about averages, I'm going by as in for the first leg, I'm taking it as fork in the road combined, not as two separate, because there's a whole thing about those. Some people combine it, some people take separately. Anyway, you have the best average. Okay, you can't get a low profile. People are noticing you, whether you know it or not. You are being a nudist. We then get Jonathan on, and they finally pass the coconuts. Jonathan is exhausted. The heat's getting to him. We heard of this a few years ago. That a few weeks ago, sorry. That the heat does get to him, and he's reached his sun limit, and so he has to sit down for a while. And Anna's like trying to get him to come on, but he's like, "Give me a minute." And so like Anna, I think she feels a bit frustrated. Like, I'm damn wait there. And like he's having this water, and then he leaves the water bottle and walk away. And I know people are asking about the water bottle, but like, and it's like, oh, production, make sure like clean up. We have water, drink this, and like everything's like cleaned up and looks good. But like, it's not that strenuous. You buy a cafe, there is a bin nearby. So it's not that strenuous to take an empty water bottle to a nearby bin. Anyway, no, that's just my opinion on that. We then get Scott and Laurie there also. So Scott and Laurie finally pass Cole as they see Jonathan and Anna leaving Coconuts. So they're not far behind. But back at the roadblock, we see Pops. He's a beast. Like he passes the roadblock with ease. Like he does not take long at all. We then see Han. So Han apparently has been doing surfing for the last 2 years, and so she took that surf, but she hung 10 on that wave. And like they were talking apparently as well at the airport, they talk about surfing, and apparently just I was saying, oh, Han was saying like, oh, like I don't really surf, girl. The receipts. We then get a list in Josiah in third. We then see Mike. He's struggling to find his match, and he takes the lie down. We finally gets it. We then see Pop and Jeff checking it fourth, Han on the fifth. Erica, she finds her match, the first person she meets. How lucky is she? Lena and Christy are shaking in this moment, spending all that time on the hay bales when Erica gets on their first try. Come on now. We then get Nick and Mike. They get lost on the way to the pit stop, and they get a bit snappy with each other, and that allows Linda and Erica. They pass them. Apparently, that you could easily have gone in the wrong direction, and I think they did a little bit. And so Melinda and Erica do pass them, checking sixth, and they're shocked to be in sixth. I think they expect them to be in seventh. I don't think they expected Nick and Mike to get lost a little bit. And Nick and Mike checking seventh. By the way, I hate when Phil asks the teams to tell the other teams what place they are. Like, no, Phil, stop trying to do improv. You are not a comedian. Okay, stick to the script. We then get Jonathan. He's decided to do the roadblock, which was a choice. After all the exhaustion and how he's feeling with his headache, I would expect him to, to have a lie down and rest in the shade. But no, he decided to do the roadblock, which I found was a very interesting choice. Anna, she sees Laurie and Scott arrive just as Jonathan goes in, and she starts to get a bit worried here. Jonathan does find his match eventually, but decides take a break. And so as soon as he finds it, it's like, yeah, no, I'm taking it slow, I'm taking a break, and keeps on like stockpiling, like just lie down, taking a break. I thought at one point he could be taking a nap because he was so exhausted. I was concerned. I'm like, do not like have an nap and topple into the water. Okay, I do not want a medical emergency here. No, thank you. But at the same time, Scott finds his match and he's making his way back. And Anna and Laura, they give each other a supportive good luck hug on the way out, which I thought was sweet. And then on the way to the pit stop, we see both teams running, and Scott has no shoes on, which that's a no for me. I'm not running with no shoes on like a sandy area. No, ma'am. Like sand is, I think the sand is like the you know how we say glitter is the herpes of the crafting world? Sand is like that, but for the open world. You know, sand will get anywhere and everywhere. Jonathan's gets upset with Anna because she was like saying, "Come on, baby," like she used to me, like really encouraging, and it's like he was like, "Oh, don't say that, don't ever say that." I was like, but snappy. But Jonathan and Anna they did check an eighth, and Jonathan's starting to realize, okay, the expectations I've had coming into this, it's just not going to happen. Yeah, I'm not going to be end up winning all these legs like I thought I would. And so that sort of like realizations finally come to him. And then Scott and Laurie are eliminated. And as Phil says it, Scott's crying. And when I watched it live, the episode, I was crying. And very soon I will be eulogizing them. I still have no idea what I'm going to say. And even while saying that, I'm starting to cry. But I will be doing that very soon. But now time for I'll Do It My Way, where I'll talk about the decisions I would make this week. And this is my, I think, favourite one so far. I want to talk about the U-turn vote. I wouldn't have voted for Carson and Jack. Them, they're my boys. And I wouldn't have voted for Jonathan and Anna or Scott and Laurie because, like, just what Nick and Mike said, I would have known they were going to get the votes, especially with Scott and Laurie from the Matt in the last episode. I knew they were going to get lots of votes. So that gives 6 other teams. And, like, it wouldn't have been worth it to, I don't think, give Melinda and Erica it or give it to Nick and Mike. I would have chose to vote Mark and Brett. I know. The goop, the gag, the gore, the audacity, the gumption. I know. I know. Exactly. You're shook up as well that I've chosen the gays, and I'm all for them. And I voted to U-turn them. The gag of the century, see the drama of it all. Didn't see it coming, okay? Didn't see it coming. It wouldn't have impacted anything because I would have known the votes anyway, but it would have shaken things up. Because, apart from Jonathan and Anna's vote for Nick and Mike, everyone else, like the votes for the Scott and Laurie and Jonathan and Anna were very, very clear. Yes, the drama came from choices, but then it was obvious because it was so foreshadowed. But voting for Mike and Brett would have come out of nowhere, creating drama in itself. Like, okay, like I'm creating my own content here. I told you you wouldn't seen this coming, okay? But it would have all been done in 11 way because I love Mike and Brett. Anyway, detour, coal or coconuts. Now, my partner would be my late fiance, and he does not like getting his hair wet, so he wouldn't have liked the water anyway. And I would like to live my Kim Petras fantasy. My coconuts, yes. So I want to live my Kim Petras fantasy with coconuts, okay? So that's why I would have chosen coconuts, and then I would have done this Roblox hair. I don't mind getting a bit wet in the crowd. I thought I would have smashed the sweat block. So that's pretty much it for I'll Do It My Way this week. I hope my choices were very validating for everyone, which means it's now time We're going to go to a break, and then after this, I'm going to eulogize the eliminated team, Laurie and Scott, right after this. Hey, fellow race fans. I know you are the same as me and love talking about Amazing Race. And if you want to get something off your chest or want to ask any Amazing Race question, no matter what it is, you can send me it in the comments or send me an email at checkinchatpodcast@gmail.com and I might answer it in a future podcast. It's time for We Were Rooting for You. We were all rooting for you. This is the segment of the podcast where I will eulogize the eliminator team, and it's Scott and Laurie. Okay, it is a shame to lose them. You know, yes, they are very positive. I don't know what I'm saying. Were they're not dead, but they are very positive people, and we know that we've seen them in Scott's interaction with the community. I've had a few interactions with him, and you know they are both lovely people. On the show, you know the other teams did interpret that a little bit differently, and I can see from both sides. I can see from both perspectives where they came from, and yes, were Scott and Laurie threats? Yes, they were. You know, they were completely threats. Were they a little bit delusional in thinking no one would vote for them? A little bit. I'm not gonna lie here. You know, you being in the top 3 for the past 3 legs and don't think there is a possibility people would not vote for you. Like the thought, like, shouldn't be completely out your mind that they wouldn't vote for you. Yes, they didn't vote for Carson and Jack, but of course we know, like, from the talks at the end of last leg on the mat really influenced, I think, other people's votes as well because of that. So if it wasn't for that, I think the vote would have ended up a lot closer than was originally imagined to what actually happened. Honestly, I'm gutted to see them go. Like I've really have to put myself up this because I'm trying not to cry. Honestly. And I've never done that when eulogizing a team before because they're just so. But and like all the teams have been brilliant, but I feel like they are just like what they present and how we've interacted with them. I think as well gives like it's a bit more of an emotional connection for me, and I'm so good for them to go. I will say, would they have been eliminated next leg if they survived? No, they know how to bring themselves back. I think they would have crushed it and they would have brought themselves back. Could they have won? Yes, absolutely, they could win. They could have won. They've won a leg. They stayed consistently at the top of the last few legs. Like they could have won. You know, I think sometimes because they are said like the older team, they downplay their strengths. They're pretty good. Like the challenges they were pretty good at. You know, look at how the drums challenge, the intersection went on their first attempt. Come on now, like they were good. Where we looked at, like they were good at the challenges. You know, so it is such a shame to see them go. And with that, we say goodbye to them. Thank you for being part of the race, and hopefully, we might see them back for a possible All-Star season. Who knows? And with that, we've got Dubai next week. We've got the Fast Forward Award. We've got diving. We've got I don't know what like some sort of boating or boarding in the sea. We've got camels. We've got skydiving and Phil teased a very interesting race to the pit stop, which could see I think a team unexpectedly get eliminated. So we're gonna have to wait and see to find out who that will be. But another team will be going home next week. Okay, now we're going to go down into the depths of the boiler room where I'm going to talk all things spoilers. If you are not wanting to know anything about season 38 or Australia Celebrity Edition season 9, that's perfectly fine. You can leave here, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget, if you watch on YouTube, leave me a comment in the comment section. Give me a like and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. If you're listening on the audio version, give me a 5-star rating. And if you want to leave me any feedback, anything amazing race related, send me an email at checkinchatpodcast@gmail.com. And I will see you next week. But for everyone else, we are going into the boiler room right after this. We are now in the depths of the boiler room talking all things spoilers. I'm not going to give a countdown this week because you should know the drill by now. If you don't want to get spoiled on teams, elimination order, tasks, then you need to leave now because I'm going to get straight into it, starting with Australia first this week, as we usually do. And so we pretty much know now that Bronte and Benfield, Ant and Dan, and Ed and Tiffany were most likely all eliminated in Nepal, because we learned from an article in local press in Uzbekistan. We know that 10 teams made it there, and they did a few tasks there. Like there was a dessert task, there was the additional dance task, the lasgi. They had to play some instruments, the Dora and the Kane. Now it does look like Steph and Ben were eliminated in leg 4. We didn't have any sightings of them or Melissa and Leah, but I believe we've also with Melissa and Leah, but I think Melissa and Leah we've had a future sighting from, so we do believe that Steph and Ben are gone there. And then potentially Dom and Marks go not long after, we suspect. It's very interesting because they won leg 4, and we saw them chicken and win that. We mentioned that last week. We believe at some point there could be around this section, a non-elimination at this point. So that's what we're suspecting at this part here. But the third weaker legs are in Sri Lanka. We have seen that. And we believe that Fev goes here. Fev and Lenny, we believe they go here. So Sri Lanka, we had a few sightings this week in Sri Lanka. We had Lucas Scott and Robin Georgia. We got certain with them. We did see Fev and Georgia for so long, so Linda and Stella and Robin and Georgie as well. We've also had sightings of Stephen and Bernard. That's the latest sightings that we've got was of them. So we also believe that Gretel and Epiphany, they're still in it. I'm so happy they're still in. So what we're making of it thus far, we also believe that Lindy and Stella have recently been eliminated because Stella sent an Instagram reel or Instagram story saying they had just got home and they were going to this like boxing event. So we believe they are gone as well. So if it is to believe right at this point, the teams that are still in the race, we believe are Aisha and Scott, Luke and Sassy, Melissa and Leah, Rob and Georgie, Stephen and Bernard, and Gretel and Epiphany. So Vesta, remember that the winning team gets $100,000 for the charity of their choice. So that was a quick update on Australia. We didn't have as much. We'll be heading into the final stretch of filming within the next week or so. So as it reaches the tail end of the season, we'll see how it goes. So, it's so exciting now. So let's go straight into US now, season 38, which is really going to be called the Amazing Europe race because they've just stayed in Europe the whole time. I can tell you that they've been racing today as I'm filming and recording this, and they're in Italy, which we believe to be leg 10. So where we left off last week, leg 6, we had no clue where they were. We lost them, but we knew that Rubina and Christine were eliminated. We then caught up with them again. We found out they had just arrived in Romania, and we found them in Bucharest. They've had 2 legs in Bucharest, and so during these 2 legs, they've been to the Palace of Parliament and Comana Jigui and Carroll Park. We know there was like a detour involving building something or learning a traditional dance. We know those types of tasks. So we did get a few sightings, but we do know that Natalie and Stephanie left after leg 7. And leg 8, here comes the shocker here, was a non-elimination. Yes, a non-elimination of some kind. We don't know exactly, like how, I don't know exactly how to tell if it's a traditional elimination or a keep on racing or a double length leg sort of thing. But we do know that no team was eliminated at that point, and we've then caught up with them yesterday in Greece, and there was a lot of sightings here. They were like in the middle of a high street, and one of the tasks involved them having to perform using an instrument, and we knew there was 6 teams because they had 6 stations set up with a picture of that cited. So we knew there was going to be 6 teams left. And so at this point, we also got Remedy Acropolis. We got a few sightings of them recording B-roll of when they do the task intros, and they have the judge hand an X clear and they film that. We got sightings from filming days. So in the end, this is the second shock, big shock for me. Apparently, Tucker and Eric get eliminated here, and I am heartbroken. This Nelly's all my faith lies now in Joseph and Adam here, and we have sightings of them right now today. As I said, they're filming in Italy. We believe that they're doing some sort of jousting task right now. They've been spotted in, I'm just going to try and pronounce it correctly, at the Visconti Sforza Castle. So that's where there been like production set up for a task. We also have seen that there is production have set up. They've set up at the Piazza Ducale. My pronunciations, you should guys know it by now. And by the way, just quick, that jousting task, I think that was a double battle task. It looked like, from what I saw, it could have been either a roadblock or a double battle, but we do not know. So, as said, this week, I think they'll be wrapping up filming this week. So that will be very exciting. And so next week, we might be talking about who could win. Who knows? Of course, for Australia, we'll less likely know. US will have more of an idea. And so next week's most likely going to be our last spoiler room for a long time, which is sad because I like talking about spoilers for you guys. But this means it is now officially the end of the podcast for this week. If you're on YouTube, give me a comment and also like and subscribe. That'd be very appreciated. And if you are listening on the audio podcast, if you want to give me feedback, send me an email at checkandchatpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, please give me a 5-star rating. That'd be appreciated as well. And thank you so much all for listening. I'll see you next week. Night night.